The Belgian Grand Prix brought plenty of drama, though the real excitement happened long before cars actually started racing. Officials' choice to delay the beginning caused major annoyance among drivers, especially Max Verstappen. Several teams picked heavy wing setups, expecting wet conditions to help, but the officials' timing made these plans useless. Christian Horner wasn't a spoil this weekend, seen riding horses somewhere else instead of being at the track. Weather reports have been saying rain would come all weekend, with Sunday meant to get hit hardest by storms. The F3 race became almost impossible to watch because of conditions, while F2 kept going despite heavy rain that almost forced them to stop. Red Bull's weekend brought different outcomes for their drivers. Yuki Tsunoda felt annoyed after yesterday's good showing didn't carry over. A mix-up happened when his engineer told him to come in right as he went past the pit entrance, making things impossible. Laurent Mekies had moved the newest floor parts from Max's backup car to Tsunoda's machine, which worked well yesterday but gave no help in today's tough conditions. Hamilton started the day by doing something nice, going to the Mercedes area to talk with Kimi, probably trying to make him feel better after their bad qualifying. After that, Hamilton took a 60-spot grid drop, letting Mercedes make big changes, including new suspension parts, wing adjustments, and a fresh engine. Since starting from the pit lane was going to happen anyway after his qualifying error and going off track, the team used this chance to swap almost everything they could. Mercedes mechanics put Hamilton's car together with full wing settings, thinking wet conditions would stay and let him move up through other cars. His early race driving looked amazing, cutting through spots with great skill during the first laps. But when track conditions got better sooner than expected because of the long wait, this wet setup became a big problem instead of helping. The choice-making about car setups got tricky because nobody knew if officials would actually start the race or keep waiting. This guessing game affected teams' wing choices, with Mercedes using the same heavy wing thinking for Antonelli's car. Esteban Ocon's car had much less wing compared to Ollie Behrman's setup, making many think Ocon would have trouble at the beginning. A funny grid moment happened when Jos Verstappen met Nico Rosberg's tough questions. Rosberg pushed Jos about his past comments regarding Horner's job at Red Bull, asking straight out about wanting the team boss gone. Jos's unwillingness to talk and saying no comment over and over showed a lot, hinting at his part in earlier drama. Race events faced quick problems because of wet track conditions. The first practice lap showed dangerous situations, making officials stop everything with red flags. This choice probably came from knowing that weather breaks would give racing chances within about 1 hour, allowing them to finish without too many issues. Norris said he couldn't see much even following the safety car, showing the main safety worry. Current wing rules made to push air up instead of straight back accidentally created huge spray clouds when wet, mixed with Pirelli's poor wet tyres. These things made big challenges for going ahead. Driver radio talks showed different views on conditions. Leclerc said track conditions were bad, while Verstappen criticized the too careful approach after hearing about the stop, saying short running would clear conditions before heavier rain came. Spa's special spot creates extra problems for officials making choices. While the track stays great for most racing types, Formula One has had trouble making exciting racing there over the last 10 years. This comes from F1-specific problems rather than track issues, but the result stays troublesome. Past crashes at Radillon add to extra care from officials, which makes sense, but this creates anger among fans and drivers who think the approach is too much. Radio messages from different drivers showed the visibility crisis. Tsunoda, among others, said he couldn't see anything because of spray conditions. Interestingly, experienced drivers like Hamilton, Alonso, and Hülkenberg stayed quiet during these talks, possibly showing their knowledge of harder pass conditions and much more dangerous cars. One reason for the long wait involved avoiding the 3-hour race finish window. By not officially starting, race control stopped the countdown clock from beginning, theoretically allowing later restart without time pressure worries. Whether this 3-hour limit serves any real purpose stays questionable, but it influenced today's choices. Weather reports showed clearing conditions about 45 minutes after the planned start time, with officials planning accordingly. The annoying part involved continuing waits even after rain stopped. Once rainfall ended and no more weather threatened, racing should have started right away rather than waiting extra minutes for track improvement. These long waits effectively changed race results by making teams' planned choices worthless. Hamilton and Antonelli, starting from the pit lane with full wing setups, found their wet advantages cancelled by the artificial wait. Many drivers picked similar approaches, expecting long wet conditions that never happened because of management choices rather than natural situations. Officials also changed formation procedures, making the minimum gap behind safety cars longer from 10 car lengths to 20, probably addressing visibility worries specific to this track. This meant another big procedural change put in place right before racing. When racing finally started, sunshine had come out despite ongoing track wetness. A standing start stayed possible rather than the rolling restart finally chosen, meaning another careful choice that may have unnecessarily limited racing excitement. Safety car removal happened around lap 4, with Oscar Piastri right away taking the race lead through the opening turns. Norris had trouble with rear grip leaving La Source, giving Piastri the chance he needed. Piastri's quick move showed impressive racing skill, seeing this as his main chance for victory and doing it with full commitment up radial, while Norris took a more careful approach given his past at that section. Piastri's lighter wing setup compared to Norris worked well no matter what conditions, while his attacking approach during the important opening phase got track position that would prove decisive. Like his Baku showing, Piastri delivered when situations demanded full commitment. Hamilton's move through the field gave the race's most exciting action. Starting from 18th spot, he quickly passed Sainz and several other competitors with spectacular overtaking shows. This period displayed both Hamilton's exceptional wet skills and suggested hope regarding Ferrari's recent upgrades, which looked more effective than yesterday's showing indicated. Leclerc's defensive work against Verstappen looked impressive, though Max clearly had better speed that proved impossible to use effectively because of his heavy wing setup. Spa's overtaking troubles became clear even with many cars out of position, with Hamilton doing most of the successful passing moves during wet conditions thanks to better grip and braking confidence. Hamilton's pit stop timing worked perfectly, stopping for medium tyres just as certain track parts began drying. This created a powerful undercut effect, moving him significantly through the field during the tyre change phase. Piastri followed one lap later upon seeing Hamilton's successful plan. Norris stayed out an extra lap, hurting his position but possibly unavoidable given McLaren's pit wall logistics. The team chose hard tyres for Norris, hoping to gain strategic advantage through tyre life. Meanwhile, intense fights developed in the midfield with Verstappen, Ocon, Leclerc and Russell battling within extremely close margins following Verstappen's slower pit service. Hamilton kept setting fastest laps initially, moving up to 7th spot and looking capable of further progress. However, the basic problem emerged that his heavy wing setup became severely limiting once conditions dried. He suffered significant straight-line speed penalties, losing substantial time to Albon despite following in the slipstream down Blanchimont. Even with better speed, Spa's overtaking limits proved impossible to overcome for Hamilton and many others. The track's features effectively trapped faster cars behind slower machinery, preventing the position changes that speed advantages would normally help. Norris's hard tyre plan showed Pirelli's compound choice problems. The weekend featured C4 soft, C3 medium and C1 hard compounds, with a C1 seemingly meant for one-stop plans while C3 encouraged multiple stops. However, the medium compound proved far more lasting than expected, with Piastri and many others completing about 30 laps without significant wear worries. This lasting quality seemed too much for a supposedly softer medium compound, particularly given the big performance gap to the hard option. Piastri's tyres looked usable at race end, suggesting Pirelli misjudged compound features for this specific weekend. Seeing Piastri's successful one-stop approach, Norris pushed desperately to close the gap, driving at absolute maximum attack mode. This created several mistakes, including lockups and a significant moment at Puhan as he explored the ultimate performance limits. While critics might point out these errors, excluding the initial start incident, none would have given enough advantage for overtaking, given Spa's built-in difficulties and the limited tyre performance difference. Hamilton faced constant fuel-saving orders, lifting and coasting extensively throughout his stint. This prevented potential progress past Albon and highlighted Ferrari's ongoing efficiency challenges. Leclerc, meanwhile, delivered excellent defensive driving to contain Verstappen's better speed throughout their extended battle. Sainz unfortunately missed optimal pit timing and found himself isolated in strategic no-man's land without enough speed to influence proceedings. Piastri received reassuring messages about tyre life and successfully managed his compounds to the finish. Despite Norris's attacking recovery efforts and gap reduction, overtaking Piastri stayed impossible. Even if Norris had avoided his late race mistakes while pushing hard, the tyre performance difference proved too small for a successful move. Given Hamilton's inability to pass Albon and widespread DRS train formations throughout the field, Piastri's victory looked secure regardless of other situations. The final order showed Piastri winning ahead of Norris and Leclerc, extending Piastri's championship lead to 16 points after losing ground in recent rounds. This means a solid buffer heading toward the summer break, though Hungarian Grand Prix expectations might favour different competitive patterns. Verstappen's inability to get past Leclerc limited him to 4th place, while Hamilton's impressive drive unfortunately gave only 6th because of fuel conservation needs and wing limitations behind the Williams. Russell managed 5th despite struggling through middle sector performance, highlighting Mercedes' current mismatch with Spa's specific demands. Bottas collected valuable points while Gasly claimed the final scoring position, with Lawson's double points finish proving significant given Tsunoda's disappointing result further down the order. Post-race talks focused heavily on procedural choices and timing controversies. Verstappen expressed strong opinions about the excessive waits, suggesting racing should have started about 1 hour earlier than actually happened. He acknowledged that different strategic choices would have emerged with advanced knowledge of limited wet running, highlighting how management choices influenced competitive results. The championship standings reflect these Belgian Grand Prix results, with significant implications heading toward the summer break and subsequent Hungarian round. The weekend ultimately showed both exceptional individual performances and systemic problems regarding race management under challenging conditions.